Today we're going to be continuing from what we did last week about Dhul Hijjah. We'll do a little bit more and we'll cover topics about the Qurbani as well. So we started off last lesson talking about Dhul Hijjah, what we know about Dhul Hijjah. We mentioned quite a few important points. So we talked about the Hijri calendar. Can anyone tell me what the difference is between the Hijri calendar and the normal calendar? Yeah?
Hijri calendar goes according to the moon.
Yep, exactly. Hijri is according to the moon, whereas our normal one, standard one, is based around the sun. And that's why you tend to have 28 days in a month here and there. It's generally what, 360 days? About that. And yeah, so Dhul Hijjah is the final month in the Islamic calendar, and something special happens in that month. What happens during Dhul Hijjah? In the name? Hijjah, Hajj, exactly, yeah. So it's the month in which the Hajj was performed, and there's quite a lot of special things about the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, and I think we covered some hadith on it as well. So we mentioned these two ayahs, wal fajr wa layalin ashr, and we talked about how so wal fajr, what does that mean? Yep, and walayalin ashr, by the 10 nights. So whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this letter waw, waw is like one of the letters of qasam. So he's swearing by the dawn, and he's swearing by the 10 nights, and basically saying that these 10 nights, they've been specially highlighted out of all the other nights during the year because of a special reason. Does anyone remember what we said? Go on.
Are they the 10 most blessed days?
Yeah.
Allah?
Yeah, exactly. 10 most blessed days. So here it says 10 nights. There is some sort of discussion about what does that exactly mean, because it's a bit vague. So some scholars have said it could mean the last 10 nights of Ramadan, or some other scholars have said it could mean the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. Both are 10. But regardless of what it means, no one denies that both of these have tremendous benefits to us as Muslims. And we covered a nice little hadith. Let's read this first. Do you want to read it out?
The hadith: there are no days during which good deeds are more believed to Allah than these 10 days. He was then asked, not even Jadda in the path of Allah. He has replied, no, even Jadda in the path of Allah either, except from a person who goes out with his self and his wealth and comes back with nothing.
Fantastic. Okay, so what does that mean? So we know that there are no days during which good deeds are more beloved than these 10 days. What does that first part mean? Adam?
No, I wanted to answer the last bit.
Oh, is it? Okay. Okay, we can save you for the last bit. Go on, Ibrahim.
Do you mean the first part?
Yeah?
Then, does it mean that Allah likes the 10 days, like He loves them?
Yeah, exactly. There's so many blessings in these first 10 days, and He loves to see people doing good deeds in the first 10 days. So Adam, what does the last bit mean?
Charity, this one, zakah.
Yeah, so what does a person who goes out with his self and his wealth and he comes back with nothing, what does that mean?
He gave like all his money.
Gave his all money, good. What else? If you go out with yourself and you come back without yourself, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Go on.
You've changed.
In what way?
Like you become more humble.
Close.
Yourself is there before you go out, and yourself isn't there when you come back.
Yeah, exactly, you die.
You die.
Yeah.
Like what?
Because
This got
How do you
real
come back
deep
then?
real quick.
You don't come back.
But this got deep real quick.
Yeah. So No, not even jihad in the path of Allah. So, what does that refer to when someone goes out for jihad and passes away? What do they become? Yeah, they become a martyr, a shaheed. And we know the status of a shaheed is very, very high in Islam. What's special about a shaheed? Shaheed is someone who dies in the way of Allah. Go on.
We say, so like if you're in a war and you die, you're shaheed.
If you're in a war and you're fighting for a righteous cause, then yeah, you'd be a shaheed. But what's special about someone who's a martyr or a shaheed?
Reward.
What type of reward?
More reward so you get more reward than normal days.
Yeah, so that's Dhul Hijjah, yeah, for sure. But about shaheed, so if what's different between someone who dies on their bed as opposed to someone who dies on the battlefield?
Rewarding.
Go on.
They died for a cause.
They died for a cause. Okay, but what does that mean for them later on in terms of their scales or in terms of Jannah? Yeah?
More reward in hereafter.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be given a higher rank, first of all, because we know that in Jannah we have different ranks depending on how well we did in this life. And also, a shaheed, anyone, they'll go straight to Jannah. Yeah? So, generally, Day of Judgment comes round, and all of your good deeds and bad deeds, they're tallied up, and we see whether you perform more good deeds, which one's more heavier, which side of the scale. For a shaheed, so that process itself is very, very scary to go through. Imagine standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you have to account for every little thing. Shaheed, someone who passes away in the sake of Allah, in the path of Allah, straight to Jannah. Like fast track. You know when you're waiting. Yeah, exactly. Have you ever been Thorpe Park? You have to wait an hour for a ride. And then you have the fast track lane, which is always empty. You just walk past.
Oh no, have you ever been to the Eiffel Tower?
No.
It's so long to wait. It's like 3 hours just to wait. And then you actually get to the tower. You can chill there for as long as you want.
Yeah.
But, like, it's a long
School one there. Went to Paris, not cool. School set 1 minute and do back.
Just only wait there for a minute. Yeah. But fast track, yeah. Okay, this one's quite nice. So this is a saying by Ibn Hajar. Musa, do you want to read this out?
The most apparent reason for the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah being distinguished in excellence is due to the assembly of the greatest acts of worship in this period. Salah, prayers, sowing, fasting, sadaqah, charity, and the Hajj pilgrimage. In no other periods do these great deeds.
Brilliant. Yeah. So we know that we have in the first 10 days we have Hajj, the pilgrimage being performed, and also in this time you're doing your prayers and you have voluntary fasts. You can also give charity. How is this different to the days of Ramadan or the last 10 nights of Ramadan? Go on.
You're not fasting?
In Ramadan?
No, as in this Dhul Hijjah, you're not fasting.
Yeah, as in you have the option to fast. Yeah.
Oh, what?
But what's different to Ramadan?
Eid is at the end. Oh, wait.
Have Eid?
We do have Eid in
You
Dhul
have to sacrifice and
Have to sacrifice, good. But what comes before that? The? Yes, exactly. Hajj. Hajj only falls at a certain time of the year. And it's during this period. So that's why it's another big evidence for why these first 10 days are very special. Okay? Does anyone know about the day of Arafah? tell us. What do you know about Day of Arafah?
Is it the one where you throw stones, or is it the one where you go from mountain to mountain?
Not really. We covered this. Do you remember at the beginning of the year when we did the 5 pillars?
It was a long time.
Yeah. So, on the day of Arafah, the Muslims go stand on a mountain, essentially, and they make dua, and they're continuously making dua. So if you look at that picture, yeah,
Yeah, those are people.
yeah, those old people.
Oh, those are people. I thought those were like not little stones.
No, those are people.
No, they're all people.
That's a lot.
They're all white.
They're wearing ihram, that's why they're all white.
Yeah.
So you can't distinguish between them. So, Day of Arafah itself is quite special for a number of reasons. So Islam was perfected. This ayah was revealed. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم. This day I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor upon you and have approved for you Islam as a religion. When this ayah was revealed, one of the companions of the Prophet started crying. Can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Umar radiallahu anhu. No? One of them. One of the four Khalifas. Yeah, so he started crying as soon as he heard it. And someone was like, why are you crying? And he realized that because the religion, Islam in of itself, had been completed, or perfected on this day, and this ayah was revealed, he realized that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doesn't have much time left in this earth, and he started crying as a result of that. Cool. The day of Arafah is very special, and I don't want to go into it too much, but one thing that we should all try to do, is try to fast. So this is basically the day before Eid. So the day before Eid will be on a Monday. So fasting on the day of Arafah is an expiation of your sins for 2 years.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh,
So 2 years. Your sins of the year before is forgiven, meaning day of Arafah, 365 days, and the year following it. So those 2 years. Yeah. Expiation means your sins are forgiven. Yeah, so massive rewards to be gained, and they're just there for the taking. Okie dokes. So we gave you some homework. Create a diary or a journal from Monday to Friday and list out 3 good things you did on each day. Does someone want to tell us quickly the story of the Qurbani? Go on.
Is it when Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was given a dream by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to sacrifice his own son? I think Ismail.
Yep.
And so Ibrahim knew that it was like an order from Allah, so he couldn't ignore it. So he went out and told Ismail that he had to sacrifice him. And I don't think Ismail really he didn't like fight against him.
No, he didn't object.
He didn't object. He knew it was by Allah, so he went on with it. Ibrahim alayhi salam was obviously quite sad because it was his son. So Ismail alayhi salam, I think
Some tissue.
when Ibrahim alayhi salam went to sacrifice him, I think Allah put like a sheep or lamb or
Replaced it, yeah.
replaced it with the animal, and then he slaughtered the animal, which is why that's how we put Barney.
Yes?
Wait, why does like Christian prophet names and Muslim prophet names sound similar?
Because it's the same prophet. They're the same prophet at the end of the day.
They just made the names of the prophets more friendly for English. This is difficult to say.
It's like Abraham.
It's in Latin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they don't have
And
him to Abraham, no to David.
the Qurbani,
Spell it, but
yeah.
Okay.
The Qurbani is also called Udhiyah. What does Udhiyah mean?
Yeah.
What does Udhiyah mean?
Qurbani.
So it means like
Charity.
you're offering something to become closer to Allah.
Qurbani with the
Sacrificial.
Qurban,
Yeah.
Qurban.
You're doing
Closer,
sacrifice.
getting closer.
Become closer to Allah. Offering
Interesting, yeah. So there you go. So Qurbani and Udhiyah. Udhiyah is literally the slaughtering that you offer. So there are a few rules on the Qurbani. So it is compulsory. Okay, so yeah, good question. Every sane Muslim of a mature age. What does mature mean in Islam generally?
18 plus.
Nope, not
When
18
you
plus.
go
Hit
through,
puberty.
like, when you become a
Puberty.
man.
And you become a man. Yes,
When
exactly.
you go through, when you go through
Puberty.
When you go through
when you
change,
go through
really?
special
When-
type ages.
When Ibrahim's voice is no longer squeaky.
Why?
There's a deep voice, yeah.
Why?
And then he has a growth spurt.
I'm waiting until my
I'm
birthday.
a young man.
Someone's voice went deep
I
on
don't.
lockdown.
No, it didn't.
Someone's voice
I
went deep
want
on. Your voice went deep on lockdown.
No way.
No, Duncan's did.
Nadim's.
That was it. That was
My voice has been deep
I'm
since
growing
I'm
up again.
it.
Yeah?
Yeah, but it went slightly deeper.
Way too much. Okay,
Yeah, so
so
mature age. What do you mean?
Mature age is after puberty.
When you go
After
through
13,
changes.
14,
Yes.
15.
So after puberty.
Oh.
when does that generally tend to happen? Depends on how old you are.
The other thing is the third one. So
Yeah.
the third one.
So non-traveling means you are like you're not a traveler. You're not. For example, you're not staying over somewhere, huh? Yeah, you're settled
Not on
basically.
a long journey during
Yeah.
the days.
You don't hear any questions.
And the key bit for us is who own wealth greater than the level of nisab. So nisab is a special word. Very good question.
I swear it's like a specific part. Yeah, that.
Exactly.
It's
So
however much money that translates to.
yeah, exactly. We covered this earlier in the year.
Yeah, we
So
did. I remember.
Yeah, I remember this.
we had so nisab literally means minimum threshold of wealth. Yeah.
It's like minimum wage.
So nisab, what does this mean? What does nisab mean?
It's
The
that.
minimum threshold of wealth a person owns in order for Qurbani to become compulsory on them.
Yeah. So threshold. Threshold is a word. It's like when you enter a room, there's a threshold between the corridor and the room. So, for example, that bit along the door is a threshold. So you can see the carpet changes. So after that threshold, you're in this room. After that on the other side of it, you're in the corridor. Yeah. So after you pass a threshold, something changes. Yeah. So the threshold, if you use a graph, for example, if you have so imagine all of this is your wealth, yeah? And if, for example, you own less than 87.48 grams of gold, if you own less than it, then you won't qualify for udhiyah. You don't have to give qurbani. If you own above it, then it would be recommended for you to give it. Yeah. So what's the cash equivalent? So you have two standards by which it's measured. 87.48 grams of gold, and silver is 612 grams of silver.
How do we measure that? Even the cash is. It changes every year.
No, it changes every day.
If you want, can you give like bronze as well?
No. So nowadays we don't use gold and silver as currency. So back in the days they used to. They used to have dirhams, and they'd have gold, silver, all of that. And that's how they store their wealth essentially. Now we have pounds, which used to be based off sterling, which used to be based off gold, but now isn't anymore. But that's a discussion for another time.
What is the coin's gold?
Shillings.
Huh? So I don't know if you guys have ever taken out your notes.
We have nothing to bear but tears and sweat.
I promised to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £5. I'd like you guys to get your phones out if you have one and find out how much this is worth in terms of pounds. Okay, now that is a massive difference. That's a tenfold difference between the two. So what do we do?
Go for
We-
the
Cheaper one.
cheaper. Go for cheaper.
How about we add them and divide them by 2 to find the mean average?
That's kind
It-
of long though.
You literally just choose which one. So
It's probably about like
Gold.
2K or something.
No, it's too much.
if you have above 3,700, then obviously you'd have to give it.
If you're above 370, then you have choice.
If you can, then you should. Yeah.
Like if you have like lots of other circumstances that you won't be able to give it, someone might be able to make an argument to say you don't have to.
Yeah.
Also, thank you for allowing us to check my phone.
Huh?
Thank you for allowing us to use our phones because I just got some good news
Me
that I
and the
really
credit
need
cards.
to.
What's the news?
I don't have
So for Qurbani, yeah, obviously, Udhiyah means slaughtering. So what do we slaughter?
Sheep.
Cow.
Bulls.
Bulls. Yeah, fair. What's the difference between a cow and a bull?
A bull got bigger horns.
Bull does have bigger horns, but what else?
A bull's more bigger.
A bull is a
Any other
Fatter.
things?
a bull will try.
yeah. There you go. A bull is a male. A cow is a female. Cow produces milk, whereas a bull doesn't. So these are the animals that can be slaughtered. So we have goat, sheep, ram.
Why is it different colour?
What the colours?
Yeah. So is it camel is the best one to slaughter? Camel is gold.
Not necessarily, but camel meat is actually very, very nice. I think it's probably my favorite. Yeah, it's halal.
It tastes better
I
than
mean,
chicken.
like a
You
lot of
can't
these
buy
camels-
it anywhere else. It's just
Does
like
it taste better than chicken?
Yeah. Huh?
Does it taste better than chicken?
Different, isn't it?
It's like meat, so cow meat, but it's slightly more chewier,
And thick.
I think,
Thicker.
and
You need to
thicker.
slow cook it.
Yeah,
You need to
probably.
slow cook it, but it's nice.
Yeah.
It's too
Um,
slow.
Has anyone ever tried deer? Deer meat.
Yes.
No.
What's that?
Nice. It's really nice.
Had the
Yeah.
deer curry. Proper nice.
Oh, you know, I could probably just ask.
Oh,
So
dear.
deer. The thing about deer meat is that it's a lot healthier than your standard cow meat. It's more leaner and there's less fat attached to it. So
Say beer meat.
yeah, not beer.
Dear.
Okay, so these are the animals that can be slaughtered. Usually, what they say is that for if goat, sheep, and ram, if you slaughter one of these, because they're rather small, that sacrifice counts for one person. Whereas a cow, bull, or buffalo, they're quite big and they take a bit longer to grow up and stuff. So these can be split for 7 people. So, for example, if everyone in this room was it was compulsory on us to give qurbani, then if we did goat, sheep, and ram, we'd need one for every person. But if we all wanted to jump in and do qurbani together, we could do it together by getting a camel.
We still need one more.
Yeah, one person will have to do the goal.
Yeah. Oh, there's 8, right? Yeah.
Baby.
Camel
Yeah.
and goat.
Camel and a goat. Yeah.
I've got 2 questions.
Go on.
The first one is, you know the qurbani, do you have to eat the meat after?
Oh, good question. It's coming up. I'm gonna save that. What's the other one?
And do you, for qurbani, do you have to do like an edible animal?
Yeah. So these are the only animals that can be slaughtered. Yeah.
Like what would be a norm? Like,
What would be unedible
So
animal?
what is a ram? I don't
like
know.
a snake or something?
A rat.
A rat?
No.
You can't slaughter a rat.
No. Has to be a actual useful sacrifice.
It has to be cattle. So these are like kind of cattle animals.
Wait, what is a ram again? It's like is it male, female sheep or something?
The practices of udhiyah. So they say, on your question about do we have to eat the meat all by ourselves? No, we don't. So it's sunnah to divide the meat up into 3 portions. Portion for yourself, portion for your family, and a portion for the poor. Split them into thirds, yeah.
Wait, so if you're doing like the sharing thing, then one portion would be for all of you, and one portion would be for the entire family, and one portion, but one portion would be for the poor. But then wouldn't those portions be like just really small?
So when we talk about thirds, if you've ever done qurbani and you like gather up all the meat, it's quite a significant amount of meat. So we did it. We generally weigh up how much meat we get. So it tends to be around 30 kg, 35, give or take. Yeah, it's quite a bit. So if you divide that into 3, you have 10 kg for yourself, 10 kg for your family, and 10 kg for the poor.
So what we're dividing it by 7 because of us, it's 30 kg for one portion of the 7.
Oh, so that portion of the 7 is different, okay? So a cow, it's huge, yeah. You get a lot of meat. And even like what's it called? After you get a 7th of a cow, you'd end up with like 35 to 40 kg as well.
So 7th of a cow.
Yeah, it's huge. It's heavy. It's a fat animal.
What if you have no like friends or family?
Oh no.
Good question.
This is so good, but it's sad, don't it?
No, it's a very good question. If there's no poor, yeah, you just give it round to your friends and family.
What if you don't have none?
Like some charities, what they do is like they collect your here meat. Like if you don't have people to give it to, they'll give it to others.
Yeah.
Some mosques in the UK they started to do that as well. So if you have extra meat, you can give it to them, and they give it out.
The thing is, like, if you don't have family, then you just give extra to like the people that need it.
Yeah, you have your neighbors, you have people nearby,
Or you could just give them more people.
Yeah.
or you just give it to people that you know. Yeah.
Just eat it all. That's selfish. You know,
And also, if you do udhiyah, it's mustahab not to cut your nails
Yep.
or your hair from the start of the Hijjah.
So what about
Stop that.
Time does fly.
It's more fun. Less people.